Well, my friends, thank you again for joining together this morning. Um, Still working out some bugs. I think it's probably on my end is why you can't see me and I can't see you. But hopefully we're still connected via our voice. It does remind me of the time that I was in the Navy and I had a spiritual director, and we couldn't meet face to face, so we talked to each other via the satellite phone when I was in theater and he was back in the States. And I did that for 6 years with him. And then after I got out of the Navy, that was the first time I met him face to face. So um, there is something about how we connect over technology and how we listen and lean in and incline our ear to hear each other's voice that's very special to me. And I hope it is for you too. You know, this week has held quite a bit of loss for us as a community. Nevertheless, through that loss, this week has also, I think, overwhelmed those closest to those folks with a deep and abiding sense of love. That's the remarkable thing about love, isn't it? The light shed upon us this week in the wake of losing Robert and losing Georgia was certainly dazzling, that I can tell you. And I guess that these two experiences are fitting lenses through which to look at the account of the Transfiguration anew. We've been given Mark's account of the Transfiguration this morning, and like most stories in Mark, it is very brief and to the point. Matthew and Luke, on the other hand, give us a little bit more to work with, however. Leave it to our patron saint to give us just the bit of truth we seek. And Luke does this by taking Mark's story and adding a few details, one of which is key. And that is what Moses and Elijah and Jesus were talking about. Luke tells us that Moses and Elijah were talking to Jesus about his departure, first and foremost, his exodus, if you will. Following that word departure back into the original language yields a revealing understanding of it in its original context that I think in turn sheds light on our context. And that is that in this story of transformation, Jesus's departure has something to do with his undoing. Or in other words, it has something to do with his ruin. And we know this because we know the story. We know the prayers that by his death, our Lord Jesus Christ took away the sting of death, right? And so we are left with this brilliant story with themes of light and accomplishment and even victory, and sort of like a warning not to tell anybody about it. And yet if we take those narratives together, at the heart of the story lies the way through it all. And the way through is by noticing what they are actually talking about. In the story of Transfiguration, where cosmic forces seem ever present, and they seemingly strike fear into the hearts of the mortals that are gathered there, it moves me in light of what has transpired this past week. That what Moses and Elijah and Jesus are actually talking about is something that is very human. Talking about what comes before resurrection. I love the author, Elizabeth Gilbert. She wrote that wonderful book called Eat, Pray, Love. And in this part where she's in India, she she talks about ruin. She says that ruin is a gift. In fact, ruin is the road to transformation. And when the fate of all our relationships is accomplished, that only love remains. So it's safe, after all, to let go. But letting go is hard. And we know that. And perhaps that is why Moses and Elijah need to come. Perhaps even Jesus needed help in letting go. And as strange as that may sound to some of you all right now, I can believe it after seeing what I did this week. There's this great part of the baptism story in Godly Play where it comes time to change the light. We do not extinguish the light, we change the light. And so with the light of the transfiguration before us and the way that our lights have been forever changed by the loss of our friends, I'd like to close this time together with a short poem by John O'Donohue. He says, "Though we need to weep your loss, you dwell in that safe place in our hearts, where no storm or night or pain can reach you. Let us not look for you only in memory, where we would grow lonely without you. You would want us to find you in presence, beside us when beauty brightens, when kindness glows, and music echoes eternal tones." Beloved, what the Transfiguration teaches me is that ultimately through losses, mistakes, ruin, and even death, life is changed, not ended. Our light will change. It does not mean that it will go out forever. The light within will be and is present in a different form. All is transfigured before us. All of it is somehow made whole through what is accomplished on the cross. That is what Jesus teaches us. So then, as hard as it is, be not afraid. For all of us travel this way of transformation with you. Hold fast to the love given to you. And when it is time, let go. And in that moment, all shall come back to you. You'll see. You'll see, as I did this week, that love never ends. It glows. It glows a brilliant light. And all is transfigured before it, even death.